Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and very excited to introduce our next guest. He serves as senior counsel at Thomas More Society. He is an esteemed trial lawyer with a deep commitment and decades of service to the pro-life movement, and now including the prolific case of Lauren Handy, Mr. Martin Cannon. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And for context, for those listening, just to kind of set the tone here, Lauren Handy is best known as one of the activists who in 2022 discovered the remains of 5 late-term aborted babies known as the DC-5 and has now been sentenced to over 4 years in prison. Now, for those that might not be familiar with the situation is in whole, Martin, why exactly is a peaceful pro-life advocate like Lauren being sentenced to prison for?
She's being sentenced to prison because the Biden Department of Justice has gone over the top to prosecute pro-lifers. She's prosecuted under the Federal FACE Act, which is a federal law that makes it a crime to block an abortion clinic. But she's also, on top of that, by the way, that would have been a misdemeanor. But on top of that, she's been sentenced with a federal statute that makes it a conspiracy that prohibits conspiracy to violate somebody's supposed civil rights, meaning abortion. And that is the one that exposed her to 10 years in prison. So it's the conspiracy idea that gets her a 57-month prison sentence. And that is a new thing. That's a Biden new twist on the prosecution of FACE cases that points to this war on life and this war on pro-lifers, the spiritual battle that we're in.
Wow. So it initially was 10 years and then it was essentially shrunken down to 5 years or almost 5 years?
Well, yes, the conspiracy statute brings a maximum 10-year sentence. The reason she gets the 57 months is because of the court's application of the federal sentencing guidelines, which are an effort to kind of give the judge a framework within which to choose a sentence. And they're controversial in and of themselves, but when you put the guidelines to work, this is the range that Lauren gets.
Yeah, I can't imagine what she's going through. It's definitely not for the faint of heart of what she's been going through, because this has been going on for a long time. But how has she been handling this all?
She's actually amazing. She was very happy with the sentence. Under the guidelines, she could have gotten 20 months more. But she could have seen 78 months. She got 57. So she's very happy with that. She's also very happy because she knew that her sentence would be the highest of all of the other of the whole group of 10. So she was very pleased that her people, her friends, her cohorts would be getting lighter sentences, and they all did. So she's very happy about it. And she's written me a few missives that are philosophical and theological and absolutely beautiful. They ought to be engraved on plaques and put on everybody's walls. She's an amazing young lady.
It sounds like it. Our word of the day, we have a word of the day every morning, and it's standing. So she's certainly standing. And so are you, Martin, and everybody else of the Thomas More Society are standing for what's right. So I can't thank you and obviously Lauren enough, and I think our listeners are very much on board with that as well. But you mentioned others. So there are 8 other activists. Are they getting the same? It sounds like they're getting the same treatment from the courts.
Well, they got much lower sentences, but the court and the judge is a great judge in every respect. She just can't see straight on this issue. And she basically scolded all of them for being violent. And the amazing thing here is that these people are going in a fundamentally peaceful way. Their overarching quality is a commitment to passivity and non-violence. They're going into this clinic to try and prevent what is demonstrably violent to these young children. And it's like the court can't see it. The DOJ can't see it. At the sentencing, I analogized Lauren to Martin Luther King with his sit-ins at lunch counters, and Rosa Parks, not wanting to give up her seat on the bus. And the DOJ attorney said that was offensive because those people weren't violent. There's a blindness. There's just a blindness.
So, what's it been like for you, though? I mean, you and the Thomas More Society trying to get through this. What has that been like, and what's the next step moving forward?
Well, of course, it's a ton of work and it costs a lot of money, a lot of stress and all that. But this is what we do. We try cases and we're good at it. So we're not the ones suffering here.
Yeah.
Lauren and her people are the ones suffering, and we see it. What's going forward is the appeal. The case raises interesting questions. The events in question occurred before the Dobbs case reversed Roe. But that case didn't say there's no fundamental right to abortion henceforth. It says there never was. So we have challenged the application of the FACE Act to this case and any case moving forward on the argument. It's not a theory, it's a good argument that without a constitutional right to abortion under the federal constitution, the federal government has no interest to protect and no further jurisdiction to enforce abortion-related statutes. That's a really good argument. So, and that goes to the beginning. Of course, the appeal will also, and we'll appeal on that issue. The appeal will also cover basically her guilt, the evidence and the rulings the judge made precluding her from putting on evidence corroborating her concern about babies being born alive and left to die. And then, of course, the appeal will also cover aspects of sentencing that are excessive. Far more egregious violations of civil rights prosecuted by the federal government have occurred in at least half a dozen cases, and nobody got more than a year or two in prison on those. And they were truly violent. It's just amazing. We are in ultimately a spiritual battle, and you might want to say, everybody will agree with that. But what's it really mean? There is a battle going on between God and Satan. Truth. Well, we're the football. We are the thing they are fighting over. And Satan's tool is deception and lies, and we see it all the time here. People that are affected by him and on the wrong side of this battle cannot even see what is plainly true. If they ever had a grasp on truth, they lost it a long time ago. So our judge, for instance, really good judge in practically every respect, but she looks at a 33-week baby that by all appearances has been born alive and left to die, and she calls him 33 weeks. Takes two hands to hold this kid. She calls him fetal tissue.
Wow. That's wild. What message do you think this case sends to us Catholics? Like, should we be aware that this could happen to any of us who decide to peacefully protest or pray in front of a Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, well, not if you're praying in front of a Planned Parenthood. I have to say, the case does raise fair questions. These people went into the clinic where they were not wanted. They kind of gummed up the works a little bit, and they wouldn't leave when they were told to. So it's not as though, they're just walking down the sidewalk and suddenly they get hit out of the blue with a criminal charge. The problem here is the overdoing of it. So other pro-lifers need to know they should do their pro-life thing. They should go to the sidewalks. They should pray. They should hand out pamphlets, hold signs, whatever you want. Whether they get prosecuted is mostly in their own control. So they don't have to feel that kind of fear. If there's prosecution, and there can be prosecution when there shouldn't be, and there can be over-the-top prosecution when a little bit of prosecution would have been better. It's still a relatively rare thing. If you look at the probably millions of pro-lifers on sidewalks around this time.
So what can we do to stand with Lauren and the others? Is there anything that the lady, us Catholics, that we can do for them?
Probably the main thing is to maintain involvement in the pro-life movement. We need to repeal the FACE Act, which is the act under which they were charged. Absolutely must repeal it. We need to get rid of Biden. We need to push for a pardon. If Trump is elected, these people could be pardoned, and there ought to be pressure in that way. But mostly the thing is speak the truth at all times and without apology. An unborn child is a person at any stage of development from conception forward, and we need to say so. People that are pro-life might say, well, I'm pro-life, but a brand new 4-cell zygote, I have a hard time saying that's a person. Well, quit. It's not hard. Okay. This is a person. And, well, I don't think there's anything more to say than that.
Yeah, no, you well put, I must add. Any last message to our listeners out there before we head on out for the remainder of the day? Any lasting message?
I think God has stepped into this movement in a big way lately. The effect of legality is that people become accepting of whatever is legal, especially the young people. But the young people are showing up on this issue in ways that are overwhelming. And I think it's because the message of life, God's message of life, is a much bigger, more powerful message than Roe versus Wade's message of legality. Abortion is wicked, and our young people have started to figure it out. God is honoring that.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Cannon, thank you so much, Martin, for not only doing what you're doing, and as well as the Thomas More Society, but thanks for jumping on the show to help kind of share what exactly is going on, how it happened. Really helps our listeners out and making sure that we can stand with Lauren and those others. We can certainly find more about you, Martin Cannon, and as well as the Thomas More Society at www.thomasmoresociety.org. Anywhere else we should keep an eye open for regarding you and the society?
Well, we've got similar cases in Tennessee and Michigan, and we're working actually really hard to get the FACE Act repealed. The Thomas More Society is a great organization and needs the support of people. We slug above our weight, dollar for dollar. We are having impact that's just amazing, and we're having fun doing it. So I appreciate you having me on the show, and I'd show up anytime you want.
Sounds perfect. Well, you're always welcome on the show, and we'll keep everyone in the Thomas More Society in our prayers. So thank you so much, Martin, once again for joining us. And this is the end of Morning Joy, where truth matters. But there's two things, right? There's always two things. If you're going to stay and listen to the Holy Mass, please pray for us. Please pray for us. We could use all your prayers. Otherwise, we are going to our after-show clubhouse, which we can find you on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere we stream. But if that's it, God bless. Make it a joyful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.